Standard of Practice 1-12, when entering into listing contracts, realtors must advise sellers, landlords of the realtor's general company policies regarding cooperation with and compensation to subagents, buyer, tenant agents, and/or brokers acting in legally non-agency capacity.
That's a great one. That's a great disclosure that you have to make, and oftentimes not made.
I'm taking the listing. Seller, I want you to understand that I'm going to be not only exposing your property through newspapers, putting it in the multiple listing service, but I'm going to be also giving it exposure to all of the realtors in town, and I'm going to be cooperating with them, letting them show the properties. Maybe they might have buyers that would be perfect for your property.
So if your policy was to pay nothing to a cooperating broker, that's something that might inhibit the sale of the property, therefore needs to be disclosed to the seller. Okay, seller, I'm going to take this listing, I'm going to list it for X%, I'm going to market it, and if any other brokers bring me an offer on this property, I'm not going to pay them anything. I think that might inhibit and restrict whether or not other brokers bring offers on the property. And you're not prohibited from doing that, you just have to disclose your policies of cooperation and compensation to the seller, to the principal.
Right. You know, it raises an interesting issue as to whether or not the seller needs to agree to or consent to the amount of the commission split that you would be offering to those other brokers. I do not feel that the seller needs to agree to the specific amount, but if there was such a wide disparity, you know, if you had your example where you say, sure, we'll cooperate, we'll let you show it to your buyers, but we're not going to share any commissions with you, that while that's perfectly legal, the seller, I think, needs to be informed of that to see what impact it would have on the exposure that they expect for their property.
If you expect, also covered under this particular standard of practice, if you expect that you might be put in a position to act as a dual agent, which in most states is the case. You could be in a position where you're going to act as a dual agent if a potential buyer comes in that wants to buy the property that you have listed for sale. If in fact there is that potential to act as a dual agent, then this standard of practice is saying what?
The time to make that disclosure is at the listing itself. Now, at that time, you don't know that you're going to be a dual agent, but it is giving the seller advanced indication that this might occur, and then you can discuss with the seller if there's any objections on the seller's part to you being a dual agent. I don't think it's at the listing stage when you should actually pull out a form that says, oh, now sign the agreement, informed consent, when you don't even know who the buyer is yet on the particular property. But it's giving them advanced information and getting them set so that when it does occur, that you have it prepared and they're ready to then give their informed consent to it.
I guess it would apply on the buyer's side as well. If you're working with a buyer and you're going to represent them, but there could be a situation where you show them something that's listed by the company, and the best time to prepare them for that is up front as soon as possible.
Right, and you might want to talk to them to say, well, you know, client, the reason you came to me is because, you know, I'm one of the top brokers in town, and great that you're going to give me the listing. You know, because we are so good, we have a lot of buyers, and a lot of buyers like the kind of properties that we list. So it very well may happen that we wind up with one of our buyers wanting to buy your property. And in that particular instance, Standard of Practice 1-13 12 has indicated that the time to make the disclosure is at the listing.
Timely, upfront. Standard of Practice 1-13, when entering into buyer agreements, realtors must advise potential clients of the realtor's general company policies regarding cooperation and compensation, and any potential for the buyer representative to act as a disclosed dual agent, as a listing broker, subagent, landlord's agent, etc.
Yeah, once again, this is right on the buyer's side. Earliest disclosure is always a key to successful ethical practice, I think.
So Article 1 has to do with the client and the duties to the client, and then the duties to everybody else. Highest duty to the client, everybody else
treat honestly.
Treat them honestly.